Alright, so it is graph time. He did attempt to actually stop it. Due to turn resolution, it was impossible to do so unless they managed to kill the 3 red seconds caster, which they didn't. So he spammed Seeking Arrows at my Scratty, some drop burn of time, all that didn't matter. We've got the victory, so this history feature is new. This is kind of like the civilization history thing. So the little colors is your dominion, but the flags actually tell what's happening. So you can see due to flags that I'm doing well. Lizards are doing well, they go into Bogarus. Raga rushes into Patala, who gets owned by Indies at some point here. I don't know if you can see it. Does it actually show it? No. But he got sieged by like Vinemen and shit. Well, very early in the game, which stopped him from doing the seduce thing, which he was actually getting some success with. But anyway, it's Raga, Lizards, myself. We're dominant the whole game. Raga killed Patala. Lizards killed Bogarus, and I killed Man and Jomon. Then Patala, or then Raga, I believe, goes for Abyssia, who is over here. Kills him. And then I get in a forever war with the Lizards to keep Pythium up, who Raga does kill eventually. And then eventually that's it. I go for my Throne Rush, and that's the game. Let's see if graphs show anything interesting. Score graphs. So we've got provinces. Yeah, we were pretty dominant for most of the game. You can see that point where it was iffy with the Lizards until we managed to pop up Ilwinter and get our critical research goals to make it not so terrible. Raga was a steady grower, but I bet you if we look at the other graphs... Oh, he actually did have a lot of forts. He had tons of forts, actually. So we had lots of forts too. Lizards didn't have as many, however, they were citadels, so his were like 50% stronger than most of ours. Income, Lizards and myself were very rich, and then looks like Raga caught up, and we were the 2 richest. Even though he had absolutely hell scales, he just didn't spread them very aggressively, if at all. Gym income, it was that top 3 again. You can see where Will of Misery went up twice and got dispelled. Research, my research was not the best. You've got Tower Books, which is Pythium, the dark green line, until they got killed. Lizards were way ahead of me. They probably had 9s in most things, or at least a couple 9s. But I had the research I needed, which is all that mattered. Dominion, I had more because I started aggressively pushing it so my god could do stuff. Army size, we had lots of shitty chaff and wolves, which pumped ours up, and the Lizards had chariots. And then ascension points, you can see where I started focusing on the Throne Rush. And that was that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and it was mildly entertaining at least. It was a relatively interesting game. It wasn't a static one. Lots of mine end up being kind of stupid, where either no one really fights me, or I just get it kind of screwed over and stagnate. This was actually an interesting game in which there were 3 powers, all played pretty strongly. At one point it was pretty touch and go versus the Lizards. Fortunately, he did not just mass. That's at one point where maybe that bigger stack would have done more damage, because he could have crashed through one of my little barriers before I was able to fully flesh out my research, and like he could have grabbed these 2 and held them. He didn't, I don't think, used the Empoisoners aggressively enough. He should have been making like 1.5 every turn from like turn 15 or something, and just spammed the living shit out of them. And then whenever I moved, he should have just been taking all of those little mages down and cost me. That would have trapped me in my forts. I wouldn't have been able to move unless I had geared stuff and put traps down to try and bait in the assassins and all that. So I would have been locked down in mobility, which is kind of what I did to him actually with the Goofy Giants, and managed to keep him pretty well locked down. And Raga just did Raga Mean Bless, and was actually very successful with it, more so than I would have expected. Where is Raga? There it is. Look at them. Some nasty scales. They were Heat 3 before. I think he actually had Death, didn't he? Throne of Ascension. Nah. Earth. No. Okay. I guess he just had low, I assume pretty low ass score, Dom score. And he did have Turmoil. I'm guessing Turmoil 3, or I guess maybe Turmoil 2, I don't know. Misfortune, Drain, Heat, Prod. Pretty standard. And then one of the things he was doing, since he had the Turmoil, he couldn't afford very many Zaiden due to the lack of rec points. But you can build Zaiden Spabed, the leader ones, even though they're not as good. They only cost one. They don't cost any rec points. Rather, they cost commander points, which he did. He had like 60 at that one point, if you recall. So yeah, that was the game. See you next time.